toy shop, buy a bag of balloons with the money we got, set them free at the break of dawn. So one by one they were gone. Back at base, bugs in the software flash the message, something's out there, floating in the summer sky. 99 red balloons go by. It's red alert, there's something here from somewhere else. The war machine springs to life, opens up one eager eye, focusing it on the sky where 99 red balloons go by. Decision Street, where 99 ministers meet to worry, super scurry, call the troops out in a hurry. This is what we've waited for, this is it boys, this is war. The president is on the line as 99 red balloons go by. Nights of the year, right? Super high-tech jet fighters. Everyone's a superhero. Everyone's a Captain Kirk, with orders to identify, to clarify and classify. Scramble in the summer sky as 99 red balloons go by. As 99 red balloons go by. 99 dreams I have had, in every one a red balloon. It's all over and I'm standing pretty in this dust that was a city. If I could find a souvenir just to prove the world was here. And here is a red balloon, I cry for peace and let it go.
If there be but 100 of us remain alive, never shall we under any condition be brought under anybody's idea of a new world order. It is in truth not for honor, nor for glory, nor for riches that we are fighting, but for freedom. For that one thing alone which no honest person would give up save with life itself. Once we were warrior poets. For now, we must stand for peace. But make no mistake, if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance, and our day is coming. Alex, Glenn, it's just been a normal, not very much happening in the world sort of week again. I'm being sarcastic, of course. How are you both? How are you, Glenn? Brilliant show Friday night. If you did not see Glenn's show Friday night, It is a must watch. How are you, Glenn?
I'm very well, thank you, Ian, and a happy midsummer to all our Swedish and Norwegian watchers. My cousin who lives in Norway particularly enjoys today. Big celebrations, bonfire, the whole 9 yards. And happy solstice to everybody else. The who would believe we're already halfway through the bloody year? But here we are. It feels like this year's been very long so far. Yeah, but I'm good. Thank you.
Yes, happy summer solstice, everyone. And yeah, Glenn, you've just reminded me of one of my favourite quotes from. We know not whether laws be right or whether laws be wrong, but every day we spend in jail is like a year that's long. Uh, it's this year especially seems to be very very long. And happy Father's Day to all of you who celebrate that stuff as well. Made up holidays everywhere. Alex, how are you, mate?
Yeah, bit warm at the moment. I'm stuck on the wrong side of the border.
All right, go on then. Go on, rub it in.
I'd rather it be proper Scottish weather at the moment. This is too hot. But all good.
Oh, well.
Myself. All good myself.
Good. Well, where do we start? Let's start here in this United Kingdom and the shit show that's rapidly becoming. So, Andy Burnham is now an MP. I'm not sure that he's officially triggered a leadership contest, but rumours abound throughout the press that Keir Starmer is set to resign tomorrow morning. What do you think about it, Glenn?
Well, I mean, obviously not before time, but any hopes that the nature of the beast will change, even if Andy Burnham does succeed in replacing him, I think that's a forlorn hope. The man's a Zionist, so nothing's going to change on that front. And business as usual, I would have thought. Maybe a few tweaks here and there, but much as I hate Keir Starmer, his replacement probably will be as equally as loathsome. So there we are.
Alex, are you excited by the prospect of getting rid of Keir Starmer for Andy Burnham?
No, not really. To be fair, when you've got a whole, and like you said, he's not physically done it, but we all know it's happening. We all know it's coming. Just as we all knew he was going to stand for the by-election, get voted in as the MP, and be shipped out as the next replacement. It's all too preordained, it's all too pre-planned, and it's so obvious at this stage that it is. And the minute it is, you're just going to have more of the same. It's going to be whatever his duties are to bring in, to push forward the narrative and to push forward the agenda. So, no, it's fire. Well, it's fire to frying pan to fire. It's the same story all over again, and it's all organised, all pre-planned, all preordained. But it gives them a reset. It gives them that opportunity to kind of kick the can down the road, because the people that are still falling for it, that's people that think they're aware of what's going on as well, but they still believe in voting, they still believe there's something there. Well, then they say, well, you've got to give him time to find his feet. Well, you've got to give him time to bring the changes through. And it just gives them that a little bit longer, again, with people sat there like obedient dogs waiting for something to change.
A little bit longer. Yes,
a bit more.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Keir Starmer is a WEF puppet. Oh, so is Andy Burnham. Keir Starmer is a member of the Labour Friends of Israel. Oh, so is Andy Byrne.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer is wanting digital IDs, wanting to get the UK back into the discredited European fucking Nazi Union. Oh, so is Andy Byrne. And so on it goes. Do you know what it's like? As the Titanic's sinking, it's like shift change on the deck. The officer of the day is just, there's a shift change. But, the policies are exactly the fucking same. The agenda is exactly the fucking same. But yes, it's to kick the can down the road. It's to keep Labour in power for the next 3 years, at least. If we even have 3 years left. Maybe that's a hint to what I'm going to be talking about later in the show. On top of that, okay, so what does it matter if he gets rid of Rachel from accounts as the Chancellor? Maybe it does, because the talk is he might make Mad Ed Miliband Chancellor.
Jesus.
Well, given what Mad Ed Miliband's done with net zero, we should all be fucking a bit worried. Maybe. But apart from that, I mean, it's it's just going to be more of the same, more taxation, more hardship, more grind, more freedom has been taken away, more censorship. What the fuck happened to the British people who told Tony Blair where he could stick his fucking ID cards back in the early 2000s? Not that long ago. One generation. And of course, the other thing that the agenda, which will continue, is our unwavering support for the Nazis in Ukraine. Despite the fact that Poland is now openly saying, yeah, Ukraine are Nazis. And Zelensky, we've stripped him of that prize because he's a fucking Nazi, pretty much. In fact, the Polish are saying Ukraine is the most selfish and ungrateful fucking country ever. Well, we could have told you that 4 years ago, brother, but you didn't listen. But the UK, now get this, Project Breakstop. We now have developed not one, not two, but 3, Glenn, missiles, long-range missiles that have 0 US components in them, apparently, so that Britain can license, regulate their use, so that America cannot veto its use by Ukraine to strike deep into Russia, Moscow, the Kremlin. I mean, we're already providing the drones that fucking struck the refinery in Moscow. By the way, it's not nearly as bad as they're making out. Everything's a fucking movie. They are filling these drones full of old engine oil, so that when they're shot out of the sky, they come down in thick black smoke, and it makes it look as if something horrendous has happened. But sooner or later, Russia's going to get fed up with this shit, are they not? Glenn, what do you think? 3 new missiles.
Well, surely. We've just witnessed a spectacle of Zelensky openly threatening Belarus. Saying you better take down your radar installations, your air defense radars and things like that, because they're a threat to us. So not content with obviously spending 90% of his time begging for more money, he's now threatening other countries on his border. And we're supposed to sit here and just think, oh, yeah, well, that's a great idea, isn't it? Because we would love to fight Belarus as well. Let's fight Russia. Let's fight Belarus. Let's really go for it. it just not only, and this is the point I wanted to make. Not only are things getting worse on the Ukrainian front, but things are actually getting worse here at home. And if you'll permit me just a few seconds, I want to explain why. Is that okay? So,
Go on, yeah.
so coming this week, and this is not very widely publicised, coming this week to Parliament is a bill called the National Security State Threats Bill. And this will be pushed through Parliament in one single day. And this bill is designed to massively expand the state's power. Under the legislation that it contains, people can be criminalized for expressing an opinion or supporting bodies that the Home Secretary deems what's called prejudicial to the interests of the government or the safety of the UK. But that again is in the hands of the Home Secretary to decide. And the wording in this bill is deliberately vague and it's deliberately open-ended, that gives the Home Secretary sweeping powers, basically to criminalize political campaigners, whoever he or she chooses. So what it represents is nothing short of total authoritarianism for the government to criminalize individuals or groups on the grounds of not agreeing with their stance on political or geopolitical issues. And it further sort of commits this government to the erosion of civil liberties, such as the right to protest or speak against the policies of this or future governments. If this bill is passed, we will have entered, to my mind, total totalitarianism of the kind that we used to complain about in other countries in the past. You know, countries that used to jail political opponents simply for standing in opposition. Well, this bill gives our government that power. It gives the government power to criminalize anyone that it sees as an opponent or that it believes is not in the interest of Britain. It's one step forward towards a society where no dissent is tolerated. And when I read about this, I thought I've got to speak out on this. So as much as all this shit is going on abroad, here at home, our very civil liberties are being undermined and removed. So thank you for giving me the time to speak exactly what happened in Canada. Yeah,
it's very important. It's lockstep across the Western world, actually.
Yeah.
The so-called free world. That's a joke. Remember when we used to say, someone said, "Can I sit here? It's a free country." No, it's not.
Not any longer.
Not any longer. We are not sliding into dictatorship. We are not sliding into tyranny. We're fucking here, people.
Yeah.
Wake up, smell some fucking coffee. And it's all part of an agenda. But you're right, Glenn. The narrative is that Ukraine has turned the tide, it's pushing back, it's striking Moscow. Oh, really? Well, Kramatorsk has fallen. Solvetsk has fallen. Liman has fallen. The encirclement of Druzhka and the last fortress city in the Donbass is happening apace. And it's happening much faster than anyone has predicted so far. In the meantime, well done. We in the West managed to drop a few drones onto Moscow, disrupt a little bit of their air traffic, have good press, fucking media shit going on. And in response, Russia is now carpet bombing. They've completely taken the gloves off. They have said all the rules of war are now out of the window, and we are going to fucking knock the shit out of Ukraine. And we have air supremacy, and we are doing so. And of course, in the midst of this, the BBC, Alex, are greeting that trust in the BBC, according to the latest poll, is the lowest it's ever fucking been. Try telling the truth, motherfuckers. What do you say, Alex?
Yeah. I was having that conversation earlier this morning, weirdly, with people who aren't conspiracy minded, with people that follow a lot of the mainstream narrative, but also can see the idiocy of things like at least what Israel's doing and things like that. But we were talking that news, BBC News, TV News, all of these news broadcasters nowadays are the equivalent of the tabloid papers of the past. They don't tell you what's going on in the world. If they do it with a spin and a bias, and people can see it. People that are not conspiracy minded can see it because they can see that you're getting one story and one story that doesn't add up, that doesn't make sense. So no, nobody does trust the BBC. That's why they keep bleating about streaming services, people who use streaming services paying a license fee, even if you don't watch live TV. And because nobody is paying for it, because nobody wants to watch it, because nobody trusts it. And not nobody, but it's a growing phenomenon.
Well, which is why they're wanting to crack down on the internet, which is why they're trying to force Google to direct you to legitimate sources like the BBC. It's why they're wanting to get rid of VPNs. You know, why they want you to make your identity online. No, I've never hidden my identity online. Never once. I've never used a screen name. I am who I am. If you don't like what I say, you can fuck it off. But I support people's rights to do so. I don't support people's rights to be cunts. And a lot of time when they do use up made up names, it's so they can say things online that they wouldn't fucking dare say to your face. Okay, they're cowards. They're little boys and girls living in mummy's basement. Who gives a shit? Be the bigger man. Rise above it. You don't need to ban them. You just need to not feed the trolls and ignore the fuckers. So now we come to the debacle, which is the Middle East. Have you been keeping up with things as usual, Glenn?
A little bit. It has been a busy week. I dare say there's a lot that I've missed. Things change all the time.
Go and tell people what you've seen, and I'll throw in a few things.
Well, obviously, you've got the whole situation with Lebanon. The whole situation with Lebanon is that Bibi will not stop. He does not. He has no intention of stopping, and Trump is wriggling like a worm on the hook to try and find a way to square this circle, because Iran will not let this go. Iran insists that that Israel stop attacking, stop bombing, stop destroying Lebanon. And you've got Ben Gvir now coming out and saying we need to go harder with this. What we need to do is start rounding up Lebanese women and children and putting them in Israeli jails, exactly as they've been doing for years in Gaza. And this will teach Hezbollah a lesson. Yeah, it will make them even more determined once women and children are being physically rounded up. So you've got all that going on, and you've got Trump trying to somehow face off against Netanyahu, who is rattling the "I've got I've got some Epstein information on you, and if you don't want this being spread across the world, then I suggest that you do what we want to do. So he's in between a rock and a hard place in that situation. And obviously, there are issues across the Middle East, but I'll let you continue on that.
No, I think you're as spot on as ever. The difference seems to be that Iran really does have the States by the short and curly.
I think so.
The state of play is this: strategic oil reserves are running on fumes. We're now down to about 4 weeks of normality if they can't begin to get things going. The world, more and more countries are coming out now against Israel. Now, that was almost predictable. That almost might be part of the plan. But Trump has no choice but to capitulate to the Iranian demands. Much as Netanyahu can attempt to derail the peace process, he's finding that his attempts to derail the peace process are backfiring. So we do have both J.D. Vance and Arachi in Switzerland. The Israelis, by the way, were threatening, or I'll put it another way, China and Pakistan uncovered the fact that Israel was planning assassinating the Iranian negotiating team in Switzerland, and turned round and told Israel, if you do it, we will take measures into our own hands. Israel is a basket case, and it's a basket case about tab elections. It doesn't really matter what happens to Netanyahu. Naftali Bennett is likely to be the next Israeli Prime Minister, and he's screaming that he would be even harder in Iran. The world is going to turn its back on Israel, and the US is going to turn its back on Israel, despite the screaming of the Mark Levines et al. The question is, what will the crazy fucking Israelis do? Because Israeli journalists are now openly tweeting, it's time for America to remember how good an ally we are. Maybe they need another 9/11, which is as close as you're going to get to an open admission that Israel did 9/11. That's why you have the dancing Israelis. That's why you have pictures of Israeli students in the trade towers with boxes of fucking Semtex. Whilst renovations were undergoing. Alex, it's a mad, crazy world, is it not?
It is.
And everything, and they keep misspelling Mossad, Moscow.
They do, and it's to a level of delusion that things that no one in the world can believe has any connection to Moscow. Even, well, I'm not going to go through all the things they do because it's insane what they blame from Ukrainian rent boys onwards. But it's the Middle East is... Israel are not going to stop. Nothing will make them stop. Even a new leadership will not make them stop. And like you say, America cannot afford not to. I don't say that I'm not convinced that Israel wouldn't attack America. They are that insane at this level.
If I was Trump, I would be certainly watching my back right now. You know, assassinations happen. Yeah, not that hard. Well, it seems not that hard to shoot at Trump anyway. His own security teams don't seem to have much effect. And if he makes the wrong decision, as the Israelis see it, then another JFK is not impossible. No.
Maybe somebody should check out that gold pager isn't rigged.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly Colonel Douglas McGregor and others are now openly warning that they are worried that might well be what happens. Okay, we're going to transition very shortly into the lone gunman, but we won't. We'd be remiss if we didn't cover one last story again from here in this United Kingdom. Because on the face of it, it's horrendous. A 3-year-old child is thrown into a crocodile enclosure in a zoo down there in Angoland. At least one of the crocodiles attacked the child. The woman owner of the place, it's like a petting zoo on fucking steroids. But why they had crocodiles, I don't know. But she jumped into the enclosure and rescued the child, who is in critical condition. The man who threw the child in was arrested and has been bailed, although he was arrested on the charge of attempted murder. Now, the police immediately said, you should not speculate about the ethnicity of the man. Alex, you were looking as if you hadn't heard of this story, and I know you've been very busy with family stuff, so have you heard of this story?
I've seen the headline, but I haven't read into it, so I don't know much about it now.
Okay, so on the face of it, the information I've just given you, is there an agenda there, do you think?
The minute they start saying you shouldn't speculate, it immediately will make people speculate. So that's a very stupid thing to say if you're trying to calm things down. Yeah. But how do you throw somebody into a crocodile enclosure? Why do you throw somebody into a crocodile enclosure? It's not normal actions. There's something a bit weird there.
Have you been following the story, Glenn?
I must admit, this is the first I've heard of it. So it is new to me, but I think the immediate jumping on the ethnicity thing is, it sounds like a cynical attempt to spin this as some kind of hate crime committed by I don't know where the guy, or I don't know what ethnicity or color or anything. As I say, I don't know what the story is, but just from those bare facts there, and from what if this was reported in our newspapers and our I don't know if it's on TV because I don't watch the bloody thing, but mostly if it is, it does seem like yet another attempt to spin what is a horrendous crime into some kind of hate crime. As I say, I don't know if the child is related to the man, or whether it's just a random child that was next to him, or what. I don't know.
Julie, unfortunately, you're wrong, and you've fallen exactly into the trap that they baited for you. He doesn't have a Nigerian name. The name that has been reported is a fake name. Because let me tell you what we do know. He is a deeply troubled, white, British Down syndrome guy with mental problems
Right.
who was at the zoo under supervision by his carers. Ah, is that why the police have let him out on bail, saying he's unfit to be interviewed? Is that why they're still investigating the circumstances surrounding it? That's right, Elizabeth. And that, Cat Louise, is probably the biggest problem right there. Both his carers were on their phones and not actually looking after the guy. Maybe they should be charged.
Yeah.
What do you think? I do.
Well, having worked, I have worked with Down syndrome young adults, and they are extremely unpredictable. They are likely to do very, very unpredictable things, and they can be surprisingly quick at doing them. Yeah, I used to. There was one particular young man who could be across half of the estate where we were within a few minutes. He could run that fast, and he took no notice of traffic or anything like that. So they can be extremely unpredictable. Obviously, there are degrees of Down syndrome effectiveness. Some people can manage extremely well on their own, and it's not that hard. But yeah, if this person had two carers, that is 2 to 1, and 2 to 1 is only usually used in the case of people who can be quite dangerous or unpredictable. Usually 1 to 1 would be the norm. Yeah.
Exactly. So the agendas abound. People just be very, very careful. Don't fall for their bait. Alex, I think it's time that we went into the twilight zone and transitioned into the Lone Gunman rides again. Stay with us. I see him wasted in the saddle. He comes riding through your town. He's wearing yesterday's misfortunes like a smile. Once he had a future full of money, love, and dreams, but he spent like it was going out of style. But he just keeps on believing that for better or for worse, he's searching for a shrine he's never found. Never knowing if believing is a lesson or a curse, or if going up is worth coming down. He's a poet and a picker. He's a prophet and a pusher. He's a pilgrim and a preacher, and a problem when he's stoned. He's this walking contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction. He's taken every wrong direction on a lonely road back home. He has tasted good and evil in the bedrooms and the bars. He's traded in tomorrows for today. He's running from his demons and he's reaching for the stars, leaving everything he's loved along the way. And the world just keeps on turning, so for better or for worse, all he ever gets is older and around. From the rocking of his cradle to the rolling of the hearse, going up's not worth coming down. But he's a poet and a picker, he's a prophet and a pusher, he's a pilgrim and a preacher, and a problem when he's stoned. He's this walking contradiction, partly truth, he's partly fiction. He's taken every wrong direction on a lonely road back home. Welcome, pilgrims. We know that you must be exhausted, God knows I am, of traversing a world that's gone truly fucking insane. The internet is a morass of misinformation, disinformation. Not just the internet, the whole fucking media sphere is a morass of misinformation, disinformation. Lies, shills, snake oil salesman, buy me a coffee, be my patron, give me fucking your money, because I'm a greedy bastard, and I'll clickbait you to death. And yet, somehow, some way, you found your way here this afternoon by happenstance, or by having to overcome the fucking algorithm, which doesn't want you to hear the truth. So come on in, have a seat by my campfire, pour yourself a drink, make it an adult beverage, make it fucking strong. Because today, the lone gunman is going to ride again. Alex, go in. It seems to me nowadays I can't turn around without tripping over fucking aliens. Whether they're orbs in the sky or I've got to tell you this. Last night, the boss and I were out having a smoke. And about 8 o'clock at night. And the boss says, "What's that up there?" And I looked, and all I could see was this bright, almost silvery fucking white object. And it was stationary in the sky. And I went, well, that ain't no balloon. That ain't no plane. That ain't no helicopter. I don't know what that is. And then the wind changed and a cloud just changed its position. And it was the sun shining off the white underbelly of a fucking seagull that was gliding. Maybe it was that bastard seagull you used to have good.
I've outfoxed that one.
But it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Yeah, you can't turn around without tripping over aliens. And have you heard this one? The Bahia, or by however you pronounce her name, she's a Brazilian psychic. She has somewhere in the region of 24,000 followers on Instagram. She is out there now saying, not once, not twice, but several times, that she has seen that when Brazil plays Scotland on the 24th, that's Wednesday, a mothership is going to come over Miami, and at least 7 people are going to be abducted, including the Brazilian football team. It's so bizarre that last night, millions of Brazilians, try saying that, but millions of Brazilians, received phone alerts telling them that a UFO invasion was already underway before the Brazilian government came out and said, "No, look, that was a mistake. Someone did that by accident."
Go.
It's like their emergency alert system. How do you fucking do that? We've had the age of disclosure, where David Grasho, you ought to see what I've seen in a skiff, and Lou Alessandro and all those fucking twats. Well, don't tell me what you've seen in the skip. Just fucking show me the shit. Let me know. I've got a brain. I can understand it for myself. If you've got E.T., wheel him out. Let's hear what he's got to say. We've now had the release of Spielberg's Disclosure Day, which, from what I can see, is a big nothing burger. Again, although it was hyped up to high hell. Nothing much new in there. The Christians are going a bit wacky because, maybe if there's aliens, God created many planets, not just us. Oh well, okay, fuck me, that's a breakthrough. Not maybe Jesus was an alien. Okay, I haven't heard that one before much. I think that first came out in the fucking 70s or 60s or 50s or 40s. I mean, it's nothing new under the sun, except they are pushing. The congressional UFO disclosure. And here's one for you. They're opening a new office on UAP investigation to be headed up by none other than the Jewish guy who came to work on Star Wars, Avi Loeb. Aliens are everywhere, apparently. There's an alien on the corner of your screen, Glenn. Actually, I think it's a fly. There we go.
I was just leaving it there.
So, what do you think in general, Alex? I mean, when we're talking agendas, is this an agenda?
Everything's an agenda. And I know that's why they brand you a conspiracy theory for thinking everything's agenda, but nothing happens accidentally. And when everywhere you turn, you see the same few words, the same sentences, it becomes that lockstep. And the minute it becomes a lockstep, it becomes an agenda. And you don't suddenly release things you've held top secret for years unless you're trying to drip feed the population. Try and get people used to an idea, try and suggest an idea. And the one that gets me, because this is everywhere it's talked about now, and it's a fairly new, well, not fairly new, but fairly new over the last couple of months. It's the idea that religious leaders need to be ready because it's going to cause a paradigm shift in religious belief. And that phrase, that sentence, that attitude is prevailing all of it now. And that means they're getting closer to some form of reveal. Whether it's the truth is an entirely different question because they never tell us the whole truth, but they are getting somewhere towards a reveal.
Glenn, what do you make of the whole thing?
I think Alex is right. We've been in a state of conditioning for a very long time. We have been threatened. We've been made to feel threatened. People in the sort of 50s and 60s many people were convinced alien invasion was just around the corner, and slews of films came out, about that kind of thing. And this has never gone away. This has continued in the especially in the sort of cinematic world. Aliens are a source of enormous story potential, but many of the themes are repeated over and over and over again. And I'm convinced that we are being slowly conditioned And we've got now to the point where we've got open admission that, oh, well, yeah, we think there are four kinds, at least, yeah, there are four main kinds of aliens. And they've been here for a long time, and we're never quite told what their agendas are, which I believe that many of our governments do know what their agendas are. Some friendly, some ambivalent, some, some less so, outright hostile. But yeah, I think that's what we've been in for decades, is a slow conditioning thing. But yeah, it has not stopped them having to, gather pastors together and say, oh, you've got to prepare your flocks for this imminent reveal that aliens are real, and that might shatter their worldview and everything like that. So, perhaps that conditioning was really, really necessary. So, I don't know.
We had that curious picture last week, didn't we, of Trump with the Nordics. That wasn't AI generated. It's all just very bizarre. And because it's all very bizarre, today will be a different sort of show. I'm not sure I can tie everything up with a nice little bow for you. Nor am I'm going to save my piece for the end. So let's start with, I asked you both to do quite big research, really, in some ways, because it's not something that we've ever talked about on screen or off screen. It's just, we've all had our own thoughts, and if it comes up, we'll discuss it, but it's just one of these strange things. So, Glenn, why don't you go ahead and tell people what I asked you to look at and what you found?
Yeah, okay. So basically, what Ian said to me was, "What do you think about alien abductions? What's your thoughts on it?" And so I thought, yeah, I'll have another look. Now we're all kind of familiar with this. Everyone's heard of alien abductions. So most of what I'm going to tell you, it probably isn't new. And in fact, aliens, Roswell, the whole alien sort of thing, is almost become a little bit passé in the kind of conspiracy world. It's like many people feel like it's been done to death, but it's not something that goes away. It keeps coming back around and around and around. And this is the case with alien abduction, which has been basically reported across the world, well, for at least 60 years, if not in the sort of mainstream kind of way. Prior to that, there were incidents, but they were never lumped together into a whole kind of subject, you might say. And that really happened under one of the most famous cases, that of Betty and Barney Hill, who we can see here. We're probably all familiar. We'll look at them at slide 1, please, Alex. There they are. And their case really coined the term alien abduction in 1961. So we can say that the phenomenon of alien abduction was really brought out into the open with this case in 1961. Now, despite the enormous weight of evidence and reports of abductions worldwide, there are still many skeptics who argue that these occurrences can be put down to things like sleep paralysis or psychological conditions, or even outright hoaxes. And this has led to many people keeping silent for years for fear of ridicule and derision. But UFO research groups have pretty much built up a very good picture from testimony that shows that there are a high degree of commonalities within most of these reports. So let's kind of have a look at some of those. So firstly, there is location. Many abductees, of which the Hills were one, report a close encounter with a strange craft, often while driving at night in remote or rural locations. And this is usually followed by their vehicle losing power, being disabled, and then they're basically kidnapped by beings out of the craft. Slide 2, please, just for illustration. There we go. That's a representation of someone being beamed aboard an alien spacecraft. Now, the second common location is the abductees' own bedrooms. The beings take the abductee straight out of their bed. Slide 3, please, Alex. So there we are. They're looking down on you. Wake up. I don't think I'd be very keen on waking up to that sight. But in both cases, these abductions usually lead to some sort of medical examination. There is probing and often the taking of tissue samples, things like that. After which the abductees seem to wake up back in their bedroom or back in their vehicle with no real knowledge of the incident and confused as to where hours and in a few cases days have elapsed. Now, this is the phenomenon of so-called missing time. Now, the only reason we have accounts of what happened during this missing time have been obtained through hypnotic regression. Slide 4, please, Alex. And this is that technique actually being used on Betty and Barney Hill. And it was only under such regression that their story could be pieced together. So those abducted from their beds seem to fall into the category of multiple abductees. They're the ones that are most likely to have been abducted on multiple occasions, whereas cases like the Hills and many other people's seem to be just almost random. So now most abductees describe the aliens who took them as what we have come to call greys. Slide 5, please, Alex. And there we are. That's the kind of standard grey that we're all very, very used to from illustrations and films. And it's the kind of it tends to be the kind of being that abductees report being responsible for their abduction. Now, sometimes these greys seem to be working in conjunction with another type of alien species, that of the insectoid alien. Slide 6, please, Alex. There we go. Now, the insectoid types seem to be almost using and directing the grey aliens in the examinations and the tissue samplings and all the procedures. These guys seem to be in the background and they seem to be almost controlling them. Now, there is speculation that what the greys represent are some kind of, what you might call servant class or some kind of drone. Obviously not the kind of drone you're going to find over Ukraine, a kind of a worker bee type drone. that the insectoids use for whatever purpose that they're engaged in. Now, descriptions of greys seem to indicate that they are, much like worker bees, sexless. They are, they don't seem to be differentiated into male and female. And the descriptions often describe them as acting like automatons. And they don't seem to possess any feelings or compassion whilst they're carrying out these what can be quite horrendous and painful procedures. Now, this has led to the theory that greys might be some sort of genetically modified or artificially grown entities. Another common theme among abductees is the discovery of strange objects within their bodies. And these are usually, we now describe these as implants. Slide 7, please, Alex. So here's some implants that have been removed from people. And these things are often discovered during routine X-rays of people who mostly have no idea how these objects got into their bodies. Now, just what these implants are for is still really a mystery, but there are many theories as to their purpose. Doctors who've removed these implants have come across many interesting aspects, including a detectable electromagnetic field around the object. Slide 8, please, Alex. This is another implant that has been removed from someone. And they seem to be made out of compounds that have only ever been found on meteors. And some parts of them seem to contain biological components as well. Now, the best estimate is that they're used for, tracking. That's what, tracking the individual who has the implant. And this corresponds to the implants being present in people who have reported multiple abductions throughout their lives. Another theory is that they transmit biodata about the individual who's been implanted, or that they can alter the person's mental state perhaps for the purpose of compliance. So you can kind of think of these implants maybe as a kind of Neuralink, the kind of thing that Elon Musk would like to shove into us. These things either send information about the subject or perhaps receive it for maybe control purposes. These implants can be found in many places in the body, but the most common are in the back of the nasal cavity, the kind of place where the PCR test was shoved up people, in the neck and in the skull or in the hand. And we can see that at slide 9. And there's an implant at the base of somebody's skull. Now, in addition to implants and tissue, the implanting of these things and tissue sampling, what many abductees seem to have undergone is the removal or extraction of sperm or eggs. Again, this has led to the theory that at least one race of extraterrestrials is engaged in some kind of biological experiment or process. Some claim what they're doing is engaged in a hybridization program. Slide 10, please, Alex. A hybridization program for which the purpose is currently unknown. Currently unknown at least to the public, because there are claims that our governments may actually be aware or even assisting in this hybridization project. This is all echoes of X-Files, for instance, where a similar thing was found to be going on. So the question really is, are our governments engaged in some kind of deal with perhaps, maybe one or more alien species that perhaps seek what you might call a soft colonization by hybridization rather than the sort of classic invasion? Are governments perhaps cooperating in exchange for technology? Are we being drip fed this little by little? Now, this, of course, is all just speculation, but speculation based on which a lot of these kind of whistleblowers and insiders have been revealing. And who knows if, perhaps we are already a hybrid species, as I personally believe myself, one that goes all the way back to the Sumerian creation story. So although the abduction phenomenon has been going on for many decades, it still isn't clear what purpose it serves, or, as some believe, whether our governments are involved or even helping with this activity. Slide 11, please, Alex. Stories of alien military bases have been around for quite a long time. Bases of this type are where these whistleblowers claim where hybridization, this program of hybridization, is going on. And the abduction phenomenon is just really too big to be just people seeking publicity. And many of these people appear to be completely unaware that they've been abducted until some kind of memory surfaces, or until perhaps one of these implants is found during an X-ray or a scan, and they start kind of trying to uncover its origins. So I personally believe that this is a real phenomenon. Yes, there might be people claiming falsely that they've been abducted. Slide 12, please, Alex. I can't. Right, yeah. But there are many, many people for whom this experience has been real and often extremely traumatic. So some agenda definitely seems to have been at work, but the exact purpose still remains shadowy, I'm afraid, unless some new evidence comes to light as to exactly what's been going on. Okay, so that was a quick look at alien abductions.
Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? It's, what do you yourself believe? Are people being...
Yeah, I think the phenomenon is real. I'm not quite so certain on the who's behind it. And as I was trying to kind of put together there, it either is an entirely alien agenda. This, there is something going on this planet, or the next option down is that yes, it's an alien agenda, but it's one that maybe some of our governments have been cooperating in and aiding in, perhaps in exchange for, well, I suggested technology. It could be protection from another species. It could be anything. Or it's entirely being run by our governments, and it's a kind of almost a false flag. that's been exercised on the whole world, and that's where I find that's a bit of a stumbling block, because any of those three options could be the case. So I'm going to stay on the fence, really. I'm not going to commit saying it's entirely alien, it's alien stroke human activity, or it's entirely a human driven phenomenon. But it's definitely, obviously it is, as far as I can see, it's definitely a real phenomenon. There are just too many incidences across the whole world for it not to be. So, sorry to be non-committal, but
no, that's, I mean, sometimes being on the fence or non-committal is the only reasonable answer. Before I come to you, Alex, for your opinion on this, I'll throw in a few things. Firstly, let me say, to my knowledge, I have never been abducted nor probed by anybody. Just for the record. One of my favorite supernatural episodes is when the trickster, and he's giving out just desserts, and this boy who is a bully and has been bullying gay people, he thinks he's been abducted by aliens and probed, and he was made to slow dance. Like right, okay. Joking aside, a very good and very serious friend of mine recently told me that they believed that they had been abducted multiple times. And if you knew the person I was talking about, it would make you go, They're not prone to flights of fancy.
Mm-hmm.
They're extremely down to earth. They're extremely level-headed. So that made me go, And then we have all the well-known examples. For instance, the Eisenhower's missing time back in the 50s, where he was meant to be going for a dental appointment, but the evidence shows that he was actually on a US Air Force base where he met with Greys, we're told, and a deal was struck. And it was exactly that technology, and the Greys were given permission to abduct a certain number of humans. And then we're told, well, maybe the Greys are aliens from 48,000 years in the future or 60,000 years in the future, and they need us because they have run into reproductive issues. The actor Glenn Gleeson famously told the story of that tricky Nicky President Nixon took him to see an alien body that had been recovered. Well, okay. You talked about the hypnotic regression. Well, you look deeply enough into that, and one of the most bizarre things you find is that a number of so-called alien abductees report not just Greys, but people in Nazi uniforms directing the Greys. Which, I mean, I personally find quite intriguing. Full-on Nazi uniforms. I think that was one of Betty and Barney's Hills regressions. They said that.
Wow.
Homeland Security, the new boss of Homeland Security in the States, Here's something to shock you and a rabbit hole that you never want to go down. The new boss, Poland Security, recently reported that they know has been at least 400,000 child abductions. Now, obviously, most of them might be for nefarious purposes, sex slaves, slaves just in general, whatever. How do 400,000 children go missing? Someone tell me that. Look into the numbers here in Scotland. It will shock you and frighten you. Look at the numbers in England. Look at the numbers in your own country. How does that possibly happen in this day and age? And then you mentioned the hybridization. Well, that led me to think of the ultimate weapon of mass destruction, the Bible, and Genesis 6. And to be more precise, Genesis 6, verse 4. The Nephilim were in the earth in those days and also afterwards. They were the sons of God, and they went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, the men of renown. Wow. And that made me think of the recent pandemic and the ongoing push to get some form of mRNA into everybody's arm or body, which is a DNA altering thing. And the theology of Genesis 6:4 was that, and if you follow this logic, the way that the devil beats God is not to confront God one-on-one, not going to work. The way the devil beats God is to prove that God can't fulfill his promises. And God has made unconditional promises to the Jewish people and to the human race. So, if the Nephilim could impregnate enough humans, there'd be a generation that then ceased to be human, and God's promise couldn't be fulfilled. There was no real humans left. Follow? And that was the reason for the flood, and that Noah and his sons and their wives were the last purebred, pure-blood humans left on the planet. Oh, and could that be the same as what they've been pushing with the COVID jab? I'm on the fence too, Glenn. My mind is a whirl. There are so many possibilities, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Alex, what do you make of any or all of that stuff?
A few years ago, I would have called it bullshit. I wouldn't have considered, I'd have considered people were confused or people were making it up or whatever. A few years ago, I was pretty anti the whole narrative. But the further you look, the more you look into these things, and I still believe there's an element of military tech hidden in UFO sightings. But there's more to it, and there's more evidence. The more you look, there is more evidence. So, yes, I would say there's something there. What the exact truth is a different matter, because the one thing I have seen, and I've seen over the last few days, is the human mind's response to trauma. And in a traumatic situation, your mind will reorder what happened into a different version of it. So even with all the even with a lot of the reports on abductions matching up and the same information over and over again, there could be something in that your mind is reordering what's happened. But what you find is when a story is told over and over, you start to see and you start to be able to put together the pieces and work out what actually happened. And when you've got, again, the same bits and pieces in these reports, there has to be something for the same bits and pieces, the same memories, the same thoughts, to people that sometimes have had no obvious way to have seen and pulled something in from another report they'd seen, because some of them go back too far to be, oh, I've seen that on my phone or seen that on socials. You know what I mean? There's no direct contact, but there are the same points. I don't know if what we hear in an abduction story is the full story, but there's something too common to not be anything in it. And there's something too common to not just be, for that response of people to be so much a trauma response, and it feels to me like a trauma response, then I think there is something beyond humanity in it. So I've kind of done a 180 from a few years ago in many ways.
Well, I mean, the thing with anyone with an open mind is, if you have an opinion and evidence arises to challenge that opinion, you have the ability to revise your opinion.
Yeah.
The only thing that scares me is people with closed minds.
Yeah.
Really. The words of an old country and western song come to my mind. There are good guys and there are bad guys. Some things will never change. They've still got sheriffs in New York and outlaws on the range. They'll still hang you in Utah if you break the law. They'll still burn your still in Arkansas. They are. Oh, I don't know what they didn't like about that. Maybe they're not fans of country and western. I'm sure Glenn with a spinny success. There we are. I think we're back now. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Alex, we have talked often about factions and Blue Origin and Blue Book and Blue Yonder, and there's all sorts of blues, and X and Musk, SpaceX and X everywhere as being of factions, and sometimes the factions really don't agree. So sometimes we're told that the aliens are good guys, they're coming to save us. And sometimes we're told the aliens are bad guys and they're coming to kill us. So why don't you tell people what I had you look at and what you found, mate?
Okay. I was looking at the fact that the two factions portray, Blue tends to portray the aliens as benevolent, X tends to portray them as evil. And the question was put on the end, what do you believe? And I've kind of almost gone in a little bit of a tangent because I didn't have a lot of time to go as deep as I could or would like to have gone in a way. And I haven't found that much on what Blue are saying and what's been put out there. But it got me thinking about that concept of whether an alien entity is a threat or whether that entity is, well, not. And I'll get to that in a bit. But to start with the different viewpoints. we start looking at people within, or what I see as being within these factions. So I started trying to look what they were saying. Now, the first one that I got to, because I thought, well, Trump pretty much is identified with X. Let's see what Trump's saying beyond the disclosure, beyond the releasing of the files. And the first thing it led me to is not technically about aliens, but it's this comment, this website, and it's from the White House, and this was just almost like a post, and it's "They Walk Among Us," and it refers to this website and this whole mentality, and it goes, for 60 years, the US government has kept a closely guarded secret, and it goes on, and everything of it, every styling of it is like it's an extraterrestrial reveal. And it goes back at the end of it to be, oh no, we're talking about aliens in the sense of immigration, in the sense of illegal immigration, and they walk among us. And it's even got like the maps with like almost supposed to be like a sightings map. And it's like the levels of immigration in the different states and things. So, okay, this is not talking about genuine aliens, but it's immediately putting that they're a threat. It's immediately pushing that idea of a threat, of a danger. And yes, it comes back to immigration because that is one of their pet stories. But the fact that they equate the two again pushes the idea of a threat and the idea of almost the idea of taking over a territory, of an invasion. And then you've got Musk, and Musk comes out and says, Musk obviously being X, you've got Musk comes out and says that he doesn't know that he really believes in aliens. And his comment was, a lot of people ask me, where are the aliens? And I think if anyone would know about aliens on Earth, it would probably be me. I'm, very familiar with space stuff, and I've seen no evidence of aliens, he argues. There are other ones where he says that I'm the alien and things like this. Now, there's been a bit of a back and forth with him and Avi Loeb on the subject, who says, well, actually, I know a lot more about space than you do. But there's that attitude. I'd know about them. I'd be involved. If they're real, I'd know about them. But again, there's always almost that hint, and it almost comes out with that same thing of disclosure, of pushing a narrative. But it doesn't really give a positive or a negative on that one. And then you've got Vance. And you've got Vance coming out saying, I don't know that I equate Vance with X. I just assume there's a connection in that way because of the current administration he's serving in and because of the people he backs up in that. But Vice President promises to get to the bottom of reports of US government files about unidentified flying objects. And he says that aliens are demons. So you've got, again, that idea, a danger, a risk, the ultimate evil. This is an enemy that we need to destroy, to fight, to be opposing. I've not got a lot on Blue Side, but I did come across this one, which was quite interesting. There was a documentary done in 2024 called The King of UFOs, which is on now so-called Charles III. And it was following a family history in the subject and going on, and claims that have been made that he supposedly flew a UFO in 1975. So there's a lot of interest there, but that whole he flew one in 1975, there's a family interest in. Although, again, it's not direct announcement, it is that kind of working with feel. So it is kind of backing up that idea of it being seeing a benevolent entity or something that we can work with, work alongside of. And this is some of the information on it. And this is where I found, again, this whole reference to the whole paradigm shift. And it says in here, the king would have a pivotal role to play as head of state and as head of the Church of England and defender of all faiths. He would have to prepare his people for a high paradigm shift, and there would be political as well as spiritual implications to first contact. And it goes on, and then there's like an appeal trying to say to Charles that he should release any files in the UK. But I've not found an awful lot from the blue side. But it did get me thinking in general. And throughout the fictional world, and we know how they reveal things through film and TV, throughout what we see and what we're presented about aliens, there's always been that divide. And I've never thought about it before, but there's always been that divide. From your aliens, from your xenomorphs to your ET, from your War of the Worlds to your Men in Black. There's always been that divide. And I come across what Glenn was saying earlier as well, the idea of being kind of recognizing 4 potential types. And this was what they call in this one, mantis, which is basically your insectoids, greys, reptilian, and Nordic. And this is what they say from supposed reports and from multiple putting all the data together. They claim there's most reported 4 types. And that's what got me thinking, because maybe it's not about good or bad. Maybe it's about who you're dealing with. And if there are 4 types, then maybe some are good or bad. So that got me going again back to fiction, because they reveal a lot in fiction. And what caught my eye, Alien, the Xenomorphs, Starship Troopers, every major invasion, major fight, or not, maybe not everyone, but a good chunk of them are all some form of giant insectoid, some sort of form of giant creepy crawly, something. Even the Xenomorphs, they've got a queen, they've got drones, they've got different things. They act like insects. They act like an insect colony. And there's always a conflict there. There's always a fight there. When you get to the Greys, yes, okay, when you get to like the abductions and things Glenn's been talking about. But when you look at the Greys in fiction, and I'm including E.T. in that, okay, he's not grey, but the diminutive stature, the general overall portrayal of an E.T. character comes closer to the Greys to any of them. Again, you've got the working with people that they can work together with. Even cartoons, you've got American Dad, you've got Roger. Again, he's part of the family, he lives with them. It's that working alongside scenario. Then you get reptilians, and you don't see an aggressive one usually in that as well. You've got Doctor Who, you've got the reptilians in Doctor Who, you've got the reptilian scientists in Voyager that were tracing back to a common ancestor between humanity and their species. They tend again to be more portrayed as scientists, to be sent to investigators. Now there are exceptions to all of these, but they're portrayed in a different way. And then you've got the Nordics, and I couldn't really come up with a great deal in science fiction, in the things we see on that style. I've still been looking at this sort of picture and things, and there's something interesting changing on this, because now, and when it first came out, everybody was running it through the AI detectors and saying, no, it's saying there's no AI. Now all the fact checkers, well, we know fact checkers, if it quacks, if it waddles, if it has webbed feet and wings, it's a squirrel. But now all the fact checkers are coming back and saying, oh, it was all AI. But what you're getting is you're getting altered versions, memes, you're getting extension ones, and those images are AI, is what they're saying are AI. That original image was run through by people, and it was not AI. but you're getting now altered versions, which because they've been altered, they are. But I couldn't think of a lot at first in sci-fi and movies. But then I started thinking back, well, when you look at like the Star Treks of the world, you've got alien species that effectively are human with very small differences. And you've got the Vulcans, you've got, I know you go on to things like the Romulans, but the Vulcans are usually portrayed as like kind of a peaceful, gentle, logical, guiding humanity into a world where you realize that you're not alone. And then when you're seeing people like this, which matches to the Nordic archetype that they're saying, meeting with world leaders, it kind of gives that vibe. So if there's any truth in predictive programming, if there's any truth in science fiction that they reveal to us through these programs, then it would kind of suggest out of 4 species, there's one to worry about, and the other 3, not always for our benefit, not always without a kickback, not always without them gaining something, but that's the same as geopolitics in this world. But there seems to be an ability to work with 3 out of 4, and the 4th one seems determined on if, I say, there's any truth in fiction. The 4th one seems determined on the invasion of the planet and the utter destruction of humanity. So that's my theory, that depending on what type of alien you're talking about, and if there's any truth that they reveal to us in fiction, then maybe some are good, maybe some are bad.
For the Nordics, Alex, I know you're not a great Stargate fan, but
No.
if you were, Stargate Atlantis and the race are very Nordic. Yes, it's one of those that we seem to be presented with 2 battling dichotomies, one of alien overlords and one of mindless alien invasion. Whether they're trans-dimensional or whether they're coming from Uranus, it doesn't matter. Glenn, what do you make of it? I mean, are the aliens here to help us, or are they here to destroy us? I mean, are they here to prevent nuclear war? Is that why they switched off the nukes in the 80s? Or are they here to take us over?
Yeah. It's difficult to say, because whatever their agenda is, it is an alien agenda. It is alien. It is alien to us. I mean, if you look back, and I talked about the reptilians when I was covering the Lacerta files. Now, according to that way of thinking, the reptilians have been are not strictly what you would call an alien species. They are one of the inhabitants of this earth. In fact, the way that Lacerta portrays it as the original inhabitant that developed from basically from dinosaurs. And she then goes on to explain how we are a created species, much in the way that we've all outlined, many times before, especially when we were looking at the Anunnaki. And so the way that if you believe in that any of what was written is true, their agenda seems to be to try and stay out of it, to be mostly unconnected. Now, they did apparently fight against they fought in the Anunnaki, what's called the Pyramid Wars, which are reported right across the globe. You know, the same thing in the Hindu Vedas, the same kind of war that was going on. So their agenda seems to be, as far as I can see, to be one of just trying to maintain the peace. But they may not be the same reptilians that others report, because I've heard them called the Draconians, that they come from the constellation of Draco. So again, it's all very muddied, all very confusing. The Nordics, are they the same race who the Nazis sort of said that this, with all the Vril energy. What were their names? Can't remember what their names were. It's slipped my mind. But they were the kind of Aryans. They were the master race. So their agenda might be along those lines. Again, whether they're here to help or hinder, calm things down or kick things off, I couldn't say. If that picture with Trump and the Nordics there is true, then they're very, very, very well aware of our situation. I don't know what there was supposed to be going on there in the White House, whether they were giving Trump advice or I don't know. The Greys and the Insectoids are probably the most, what I would call, almost hostile. I think they seem almost hostile, or perhaps more warlike, more interested in what's going on the earth and perverting it to their own agenda. But again, it depends on which side of that coin exactly that Alex was trying to explain, which side of that dichotomy you listen to. So everything is very confusing. Everything is very mixed up, and nobody really knows. And so I've just spent 5 minutes talking about something I can't resolve. So that's where we are, I believe.
No, there. Do you remember back in the 80s, there was a parody of Dynasty and Dynasty and all these sort of programs, and they simply called it Soap. And
yeah.
every episode started with "Confused, you will be."
Will be.
When it went through the plot. We have David Bowie. There's a spaceman waiting in the stars. He'd love to come to see us. He's afraid he'd blow our minds. Or, we've got everything from that to Dark Star. And then my thoughts this week. I'm going to just throw them out there. And it might be a case of Soap. Confused, you will be. Or as the Clash once said, going underground. Let me tell you some things which are, if you like, out there in the scientific field, almost settled. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but my weather app is now not just telling me it's going to be cooler the next few days, or it's going to be warmer the next few days, or it's going to be showery the next few days, or it's going to be sunny the next few days. No. My weather app is telling me UV will be high the next few days. And that's a bizarre change. I've spoken before about the fact that the chemistry in the sun has certainly changed. It's no longer yellow, it's white. And when the sun comes out, as it is now, it can be actually a relatively cold day. But if the sun comes out, the UV intensity that you can feel on your skin is extreme. On top of that, a phenomena that I've noticed for the last few years, and particularly keeping an eye on it this year, is we seem to have a climate of sunshine and showers at the moment. And so the rain deposits raindrops onto foliage, and then out comes the sun, and that little drop of precipitation on the foliage acts like a magnifying glass, and that leaf in that spot gets burnt. So if you're out after the rain, go look at what happens when the sun comes out. Our ozone is functionally depleted, and they're trying to hide that fact, but you can't get the information if you dig deep enough. And the ozone is our primary defense against space radiation and UVC, because you get different levels of UV. UVA is what's good, UVB becomes damaging, UVC is highly damaging and is one step away from X-ray, intense radiation. Why did they build Doronuku, that massive underground city in Turkey? Why 12,000 years ago did people feel the need to tunnel into the earth to bring livestock and their foodstuffs underground? What was happening on the surface? Why do the Hopi Indians talk about a time when the ant people took them underground to survive? Why are billionaires building bunkers everywhere? Why is one of Musk's biggest companies the X-Boring company? Is something coming? Why is BlackRock and Billy Gates buying up farmland worldwide? Why are they making their GMO crops more radiation resistant? Do they know that this radiation, this UVC, will keep crop yields suppressed? The Colorado River, which gives water to 7 states, is drying up. The ocean's temperatures are reaching crazy levels. The we're in a situation where the ground is becoming hard packed because of drought. So that when it rains, and it rains hard, the water is not being absorbed but causing flash flooding. Flash flooding, which is then almost instantly evaporated. Why do we have an increase in earthquakes, volcanoes, and strikes, plasma strikes? Right now, because of the number of active volcanoes, Earth's atmosphere is covered in a layer of ash. That's why even without them spraying, the skies are somewhat hazy. Told you before, wait to a dark night. Get away from streetlights. Get yourself a torch big and as bright as you can and shine it up into the sky. You'll be amazed at the particulates that you see floating down. Don't know about you guys, I remember as a boy being fascinated by a crack in the curtains that would let a beam of sunlight into the room. And in that beam of sunlight, you could see all the dust and things. And then remember, that's what all of us, each and every one of us, is breathing continually. Continually. What if pole shift has already begun? And I know credible scientists who think it has. Today is the longest day. Last night, the moon was out of position. From my location, the moon should rise over there. So tell me please, why last night it rose over there. There is no doubt that the earth is wobbling. There is no doubt that we're undergoing extreme climate change. And for those people who want to deny rising sea levels, just wait, because it's raining in Antarctica. The average temperature for this time of year in Antarctica is over 40 degrees above normal. The Doomsday Glaciers, as they're known, are being held up pretty much by ice picks at this moment. If they break and that shit hits the ocean, you won't have to be a believer, because it will show you. Forget your Plymouth Rock and all that shit. Why are they stealing so many children? Where are they taking them? Underground? Is a new Noah's Ark being prepared? Something's coming. And I believe that everything else is a distraction from this. There is a time coming soon when you will not go outside on a sunny day without UV protection. There is a time when, if you hear a thunderstorm is coming, you will shake with fear. And everything else, whether it's aliens, whether it's the potential of nuclear war, Google this. Scientists just came out and said a small nuclear conflict between Pakistan and India will finish off the ozone layer. Whether it's tensions out of the Middle East that are saying that there will be no fertilizer, so there's no crops, so food shortages are coming. And damn, I forgot to look it up. There is a Netflix series that I began watching, but I got distracted. And I can't remember the fucking name of it. But it's about people who have been living in bunkers and coming to the surface. If anyone in the comments knows it, let me know. And it's, the guy is like a cowboy guy. He was a actor, and he's got a metal nose, and the girl is just a bit dipsy. Yeah, you know the one I mean, Glenn.
Yeah. There's 2 series of it. Yeah. What's it called?
Yeah.
It'll come. Probably not when I need it, but it'll come.
Well, I know. Yeah. This is where
Fallout.
the world is. Fallout is exactly that. That's exactly it. Dark days lie ahead for us all, I believe. And in order to distract us from that, they're attempting to keep things as normal as possible. Yeah, Janet Pollard, yeah. I said I wouldn't be tying things up in a nice little bow today because I don't think I can. But I do think that there is something in this alien agenda, whether it's Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, they are all fucking alien. They're all demons. They're extra dimensional, not extraterrestrial. I do think there's something in that. And I'll tell you another curious little coinky dink, Alex, with your nudge theory. And we've talked before about, are they bumping us from timeline to timeline? CERN has just shut down until 2030. The last time CERN shut down was 2018 to 2021. What happened between 2018 and 2021, Alex?
Well, beyond the scamdemic, I don't know.
Well, the scamdemic would be enough, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah.
The time before that CERN shut down was 2013. We had a mini financial crisis. The time before that CERN shut down was 2008. What happened in 2008, Glenn?
2008 seems a very long time ago. Did we have was there a financial crash?
The major banking crash. The too big to fail bailout banking crash,
Yeah.
the decade of austerity. And the time before that was 2003. Again, an age of economic chaos. I don't know. I just find that quite coincidentally. So, Alex, what do you make of these things I'm laying out? How do you feel that heat wave coming for you down there in the south of England at the moment?
It might not be a big bow in the normal sense, but it does all. It's like all paths lead to one conclusion, and they always do. And that's something wicked this way comes, I guess, because they seem to. And when they have, I always keep trying to tell people to realize that they have motivations. You can't just say, oh, the psychopaths as a conclusion for everything. But what's a bigger motivation than something that would affect them as well? They don't tell us the truth because we'd be in their way. But they have motivations, and it's because things upset them. And everything seems to be about them. They don't care about us, but about them surviving something that's coming. There must be a reason they're prepared to. We're in resources wars across the globe. There must be a reason in the middle of resources wars, in the middle of water shortages, they are pumping water to cool AI. They are pumping water through data centers. They're using up resources to fuel AI. What do they think AI can do for them with what's coming? Because they must think it can do something that will prompt and improve their chances of survival. I'm going all over the place because my head is going all over the place at the moment.
Glenn?
Yeah, I think Alex is right. It's like trying to catch an eel in a barrel of eels. There are so many of these eels wriggling around all the time. All of these incidents, all of these stories, all of these things that are pumped out constantly in a kind of complete omni-crisis that as soon as one crisis ends, another crisis starts, and now we have simultaneous crises going on all the time everywhere, all at once. Is that deliberate? Is that engineered? Is it random chance? Is it just political madness? I couldn't honestly say, but it has the feel. I mean, all of a sudden, aliens are becoming, the new thing, right? We've got wars going on, as Alex said. We've got crisis all over the world. Not only the main wars, you've got all the bubbling wars like Sudan and places like that. All of a sudden, aliens and AI seem to be the big thing, especially AI. And could it be, like Alex said, that I don't know, we're racing to try to get AI to try and get to the point where we can upload ourselves, where we can, where some can survive by basically joining with machines. Maybe that's a possibility. I mean, it offers immortality. If you've got the power to keep these things going indefinitely. But yeah, maybe it is all about keeping people very busy while the main agenda just keeps rolling on. Very difficult to say, very confusing, very hard to join it all together in a meaningful way. But undoubtedly, like we always said, that there are connections, that there are threads that can be joined, that you can follow certain stories that lead to others. So someone somewhere, be that a human mind or an AI mind, certainly seems to have plans for us. That's in a kind of confusing way. What I'm trying to explain is perhaps what's happening in the world may not be entirely man-made. May not be, maybe being directed by something different than us. I'll leave it there because I'll start to ramble.
Today's been delved into the weird and wonderful. Almost an Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World type ramble. Arthur C. Clarke, wait a minute. Turns out he was one of these pedophiles that the BBC protected for decades. Turns out that he was one of these deep insiders who knew what was going on. Turns out he wrote Childhood's End, where when the aliens arrive, they bring peace and harmony for a season and cure all disease until the day they leave, taking all the children with them. Oh my. There seems to be a lot of echoes in what Arthur C. Clarke wrote. Folks, sometimes the most honest truth is, I don't know. Here's what's going on, but I don't know what it all amounts to. I'm not omnipotent, but we are in an omni crisis. Glenn is absolutely spot on with that. So, what to do? There is only one thing to do. Get on with your lives. Be prepared as you can, but the best preparation is mental preparation. Unexpected things will happen. Question is, are you quick enough mentally to take that in and to roll with the punches? Just because we might be getting to the point where if the ozone goes, quite literally, if the sun comes out, it will microwave you. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out and enjoy the sun. It doesn't mean on a day like today, it's wrong to go and sit by the beach, roll a joint, and look across at the water. Now, Alex won't be doing a show tonight because she has things that she needs to do. She will be back, I think, on Tuesday, Alex, is that right?
Yeah.
With the Gleam in the North. I'll be here on Wednesday with Smoke 'em If You've Got Them. And who knows? I mean, Britain giving Ukraine long-range missiles and nuclear fuel. Sometimes 1 and 1 does make fucking 2, and if the Russians decide that the numbers too, then you wouldn't want to be in the UK. Just saying. And Glenn will be back on Friday night with another Man in Black. And next Sunday, we'll come up with some other weird, wonderful shit to talk about, I'm sure. Alex, any last thoughts for the audience on this sunny afternoon?
Not massively at the moment. Just what you said. All you can do is keep living your life and do what you need to do in the meantime.
Glenn?
Yeah. Just keep an eye. Just keep an eye out on what our fuckwits well, especially this government, are doing behind your back, out in the open but quietly. Well, that's a kind of that's a mixed metaphor. You know, it's behind your back, but it's out in the open. The intention is behind your back, but the mechanism is out in the open. We can see things being put in place that seem nonsensical. Why do we need to live in a much more controlled, rigorously monitored environment? Why has dissent got to be crushed? Why has the government have got to get more and more and more authority? Well, the only times when this has happened really in the past have been when the country's been at war. When the country is at war, regulations, emergency regulations are put in place that severely restrict people's rights that they had before. And those regulations are very rarely rescinded. So are we looking at the preparation for war in that we are being driven into a protest-free society where dissent will be illegal, where criticizing the government will put you in jail? The only time you would need that is to silence people in that respect is when you're doing something that the people don't want. You're governing against the wishes of the population. And that is what we are in. We are in a situation where our government seems determined to put this country on a war footing, to go to war with Russia, along with all the other idiots in Europe, many of whom will drop out at the first when the first bomb drops. But this is, I think, this control is part of that agenda. So just keep an eye on it and be prepared, because the day may come when we will have to defend our rights physically, not just on here, not just on Facebook, but actual physical defense of our country, not from a foreign invader, but from our own government. So that's probably my last thought.
Well, the taxman's taken all my dough. He's left me in my stately home. I'm lazing on this sunny afternoon.
Great song.
I can't even sail my yacht because he's taken everything I've got. I'm lazing on this sunny afternoon.
Well, I've got this.
Save me, save me, save me from this squeeze. I got a big fat mama trying to break me. I love to live so pleasantly. I live a life of luxury, lazing on this sunny
afternoon in the summertime. Great song, Small Faces.
Oh, do me a favor, people. Fuck it off and let me get on with it. You have a great Sunday afternoon, and we'll be back with you next week. Bye for now. Listen to the song. Alex, end the broadcast, please.
We are the last Jacobites, proud and free, will not be bought nor bend the knee. Like Arbroath's cry and freedom's flame, we rise as one and stake our claim. Oh, side by side, through storm and fight, we stand as one in truth and right. From every shore we answer the call, Clan Jacobite, we rise or fall. It matters not our skin or land, but hearts as one and hand in hand. The blood we share is brave and bold, in woven dreams and legends old. Oh, side by side, through storm and fight, we stand as one in truth and right. From every shore we answer the call, Clan Jacobite, we rise or fall. I am you, and you are me, a thread within this tapestry. For hopes of all, for every name, we light the fire, we keep the flame. No sea can part us, nor the land. Together strong, we proudly stand. With courage, truth, and spirits high, we pledge our oath beneath the sky. Oh, side by side, through storm and fight, we stand as one in truth and right. Raise the banner.